The onslaught of new knife releases at Knife Center continues on this special bonus episode, which is like after school special sort of thing, of the coolest new knives that have just hit our shelves. I am David C. Anderson, coming at you from the Knife Center. Let's get into it. All right, we're going to start off with a couple of sprint run knives, actually, from Spyderco. The first is this, the Starmate. It is a Bob Terzola design, and if you are at all familiar with his work, you will have instantly recognized that this is a Terzola design. And what we have here is something that hews pretty closely to the historic versions of the Starmate. This is the fourth iteration that we've seen so far, but it's kind of a cool bit of history, both in how it's made as well as the connection to Spyderco's past, because Bob Terzola was in fact the first outside knife designer to work or collaborate with Spyderco on an original design. And that is the Starmate. Insiders know that Spyderco numbers their knives sequentially, and this is number 55, and we're well past 55 at this point. I'm looking at a 263 over here for one of the newer knives here on the table. But yeah, better or worse, this is kind of a throwback to like peak tactical knife design when this knife was first introduced. We've got G10 handles with an inlay right here, 3 3/4 inch blade of 20 CV, hollow grind, and a very Terzola-ish, well, very Terzola drop point shape. The hollow grind is certainly something you see less of, I think, on modern tactical knives, but you've got a nice thick blade there for robustness. You've got a very sturdy liner lock. One of the main concessions to modernity, you can situate the pocket clip so you can carry this knife tip up, whereas older versions of this were tip down only. US made, as mentioned. I think the first and second versions of this were US made, then it went to Seki City, Japan, and now it is back to the US. Feels solid. I mean, it's certainly a big working folder for sure. Plenty of grip from the jimping there on the back of the thumb ramp. Locks up pretty nicely. You can still do that modern Spidey flick, of course, or just slow roll it open with the blade or thumb cutout right there. Tactical, certainly. I mean, and it certainly it was born that way, but it's still a design that's going to work across a broad range of uses, especially heavier uses, even with a hollow grind, I would say. There's enough thickness, enough meat behind that blade where I wouldn't hesitate to like really use that knife. Next up, the Bodacious. If you crave a bit more modernity from your sprint run, this is a sprint run version of the Bodacious with peel ply carbon fiber handles, so the texture on it is great, and S90V blade steel. I didn't mention the price on the Starmate, did I?
Maybe.
I don't think I did. Well, it and the Bodacious are the same price, actually, $337.50. The blade on the Bodacious, big drop point blade, high flat grind, not as thick as the Starmate's blade stock is, but still a very substantial feeling blade. S90V blade steel, lots of edge retention, and should offer you more edge retention than the 20 CV, and I'm not sure. The difference in toughness between the two is probably not huge in either case in terms of like, the actual toughness characteristic of the steel itself. So yeah, take that as you will. Compression lock on this, which means you've got that finger safe closing action. You've got the ability to flick it closed, as you just saw, as well as flicking it open with just a flick of the wrist. You've got more handle length on this particular design than you do with the closely related Shaman model from Spyderco, although you don't get the contoured thicker scales that the Shaman brings to the table. 2-position pocket clip, that nice strong compression lock right there. Another great all-around folder. Could certainly be tactical if you wanted it to be, but I think it maybe leans slightly more general purpose than the Starmate. So pick your sprint run. Or not. We have a non-sprinty Spyderco. The Manix 2 Salt in all black variation is finally, the stock has finally stabilized, as we say here, because we finally got enough to put on the shelves that aren't going, flying off the shelves towards pre-orders or orders as soon as they do hit. Definitely more affordable than the Sprint runs, 180 bucks and some change. MagnaCut blade, treated for ultimate stain resistance, and everything inside the handle is likewise made to be as stain resistant, as rust proof as possible, because it is part of the Salt series. 3.37 inches on the blade, thinner still than either of the previous two, and with a full flat grind, you've got great slicing capabilities and a more acute tip, so better piercing, but not as tough of a piercer. Although MagnaCut is a pretty darn tough steel, especially compared to those other two options we just looked at. 2-position pocket clip, and the lock here is Spyderco's ball bearing lock. You use it like you would a crossbar lock, but instead of a crossbar, you've got a ball bearing being pressed forward into the tang of the blade. So the action's a little bit different, but you still get that wrist flick, you still get the finger-safe closing path, you still get nice flickiness out of it as well. Feels good in my slightly larger than average hands back here, but if you need to get closer to the edge, you do have the guarded finger choil, a signature Spyderco element right there for finer control of your Manix. Manix 2, I should say. Manix 2 Salt, I really should say. All right, next up, we got a Vosteed and then a bunch of Kizers. But the Vosteed, starting off with, is new versions of the Corgi V. All the smaller editions, or the smaller version of this knife, got a bunch of cool new colors and handle texturing patterns going on, which make this just feel really, really nice. It's $82 for this. You get a 2.36-inch blade. It's 14C28N, one of my favorite non-particle stainless steels out there. It's good and tough, holds an edge pretty decently. Not like a powder metallurgy steel, of course, but it is very good stuff. And I like the copper dune finish on here, and I love how it goes with the green aluminum main color that they've gone with here. You've got a deep carry pocket clip there on the back, not on the front side, but you do have that nice Vancor lock, which is a button-based, or pivot-based button lock, as we call it, pebble lock. Pebble. Which is interesting because this sort of, in some ways, reminds me of Bestech made a knife called the Pebble, kind of a similar size, maybe a little bit larger, many years ago at this point. But it's very easy to use. Again, finger-safe closing path, which is nice. Flick open with a wrist or close with a wrist as you like. Standard flipperage can be achieved with the lighter wheel flipper there on the back. And it has a front flipper if you want it. I don't want it. I'm not going to play with it right now. I dig the Corgi V a lot. I think I much prefer it to the original Corgis, which were fine, but just the refinement and the cleanliness of the Corgi Vs, both in the small and the 3-inch version, are just spot on. The refinement's very, very nice. Let's get our Kizer on. If the Thursday's episode was focused a lot on the CRKT stuff, today it's Kizer. Kizer has released a slew of stuff, including a similarly blade-finished drop point sheepdog. I'm happy about this. We first saw the drop point versions of this knife showing up in December for us here last year. The sheepdog traditionally has this, cleaver blade shape right here, which is very cool. But now they are expanding the availability to a standard model, not just a limited edition, with the new drop point shape, which is pretty cool. 140 bucks for this knife. You've got a 3-inch L-Max blade. That is a cool choice right there. Fairly thin with a high flat grind. This is going to slice really, really nicely. You've got great performance thanks to the edge retention of that L-Max. Sunset Metal PVD is the finish here. It's kind of a stone-washed, bronzed thing. It pairs really nicely with the blue aluminum here as well. Deep carry pocket clip. It is reversible. You've got a blockout plate, as you can see there on the front, to keep things nice and clean. Flush mounted screws as well, so it's not going to snag going into the pocket. And you got their version of the crossbar lock, which they call the clutch lock. And it does have, or maintains the ability to adjust the spring tension of that crossbar lock if you want. There's little holes there on the side. You can move the spring forward or backwards. It's set right in the middle, I believe, here right out of the box. You can do it. As I've always said, though, I've never felt the need to change the tension because I've always felt it was pretty darn good right out of the box. But it's good to have options. 3.5 finger grip for me, unguarded finger choil at the front if you need to choke up for a finer grip. Digging that blade shape. Works better than I would have imagined, I guess, than, compared to the cleaver shape, because I guess we're just so used to seeing this cleaver shape that anything else would feel wrong, and yet the drop point doesn't feel wrong on it. So what are you going to do? Well, you could go with this version right here. Also in LMAX steel, also for 140 bucks, but with the traditional sheep's foot or cleaver style blade, but no crossbar lock. It's a button lock. It's not just a button lock though. It is actually one of those compression style or top liner style locks. So you've got the liner moving out, or moving, I guess, this way. No, moving this way. I was right the first time.
All of this can be explained with B-roll.
It interlocks with the tang. It doesn't just butt up against it. Interlocks. It's pretty nicely. And you got the old cleaver shape. Still just under 3 inches. You can choke up as well with that unguarded finger choil. LMAX, great choice. The action is really good, as you'd expect. Nice and snappy, and finger safe closing, and wrist flick open and closing too. All of these locks, the last several, have like my favorite things going on. I love all of that stuff about it. How about some more? This is the Madrac from Matteo Pignatelli and Kizer Cutlery. Quite affordable here, $66. Not a like cheap knife, but still certainly in attainable range. 3.06 inch Nitro V blade with another kind of modified sheep's footy cleaver style of thing going on. That blade itself is Nitro V stainless steel, very similar to the 14C28N we talked about earlier. So bullet points are, it is very tough. Holds an edge pretty darn decently, but not super steel levels. And of course it is stainless. Thin enough blade stock to be slicey, but not a full flat grind on there. Still enough to slice decently, but again, it's something that feels very sturdy in the way I'm perceiving the blade right now. And the handles feel good too. Black micarta on this one. Other flavors are available. Enough for a full 4-finger grip for my slightly larger than average hands. And the crossbar style clutch lock as well with the adjustability. Just making sure I can still see those holes. It's black liners in there, so it's harder to see right off the bat. It's very efficient design. You've got, the tang intersection with the handle there works really nicely. You've got edge all the way back. Your fingers are nice and close to the edge so you can get good control. You're not like spaced way back, which can happen sometimes with certain designs. A lot to go right there, especially for $66, $65.99 that it goes for. Great utility blade too. Like if you're doing like heavy push cuts, especially, that blade shape is going to work nicely. You can certainly make it work for a lot of other things too, but that's where it's going to really excel, I think. Next up, we have, this is kind of interesting. So Kizer had a knife called the Original, and it was released only a couple years ago, whereas Kizer's been around. First. Yeah, Kizer's been around for a lot longer than that. Then they had a knife called the Original 2, which just came out last year.
Extra original.
This knife is called the Pokiman, Pokiman. There are 3 blade shapes, and this looks a lot like the Original 2. Not the original as well, the Original 2, the number 2. In fact, the Original 2 looks more like the Pokiman here than it does the original. Carry the 2, yeah, okay.
Which one's the original?
I don't know anymore.
I don't trust anyone.
Anyway, the Pokiman. $70 for this knife, 3.16 inch blade, AEBL steel, which AEBL was copied by Sandvik, and they called it 13C26. They modified 13C26 to get 14C28N, and Nitro V was also a modification of 13C26. Anyway, AEBL has long been one of my favorite non-stainless or non-powder metallurgy stainlesses, which is why I say 14C28N is also one of my favorite. It's potatoes.
But is it the original?
Don't we can't go down that road. We'll never get back. And the reason I love this family of steels is the toughness that it brings to the table. I've always been able to get a very respectable edge that lasts a good long time, but the stability of that edge when you're being rough with it is just oh so nice. You can also generally put a steeper angle on your edge and it'll be supported because of the toughness of that steel. There's just a lot to really enjoy about this steel, especially on more attainably priced knives. Anyway, sheep's foot or modified sheep's foot. What do we call it on the website? Just so I'm making sure.
Original shape.
Correct. No, don't even. Sheep's foot blade with clear acrylic handles on this one. And the clutch lock, we have the drop point. They're not calling that spear point, are they? That might be a spear point. Maybe the tip is a little higher than center line. But drop point and the other one, the clip point blade. This one almost has like a SOG buoy spine styling going on with it.
Original SOG?
The original SOG was not a SOG, so there you go.
Was it dry?
Now y'all don't know where I'm coming from. Was it dry? Wait, what?
Soggy.
Oh, boy. If you have to explain the joke, I'm just not quick enough today. You all know I like the drop point. I love the utilitarian nature of what a drop point brings to the table. How many variants do we have right now, however? 6 different ones. Each one is unique as well. There's no kind of crossover between like handle and blade and finishes, etc.
That's not the word I would have used.
Would you have said original?
Different.
How original. Clutch lock works great, as you would expect. It's a good length. It's roughly a 3-inch blade. Like I said, it's just over. So it's a good general purpose everyday carry. It's not quite like a full or big sized knife, but I think it's going to carry really nicely. It's nice and narrow when it goes into your pocket, as you can see right there. Deep carry pocket clip with reversibility, maintaining the full ambidextrosity of the blade. I make up original words all the time. Stick around, folks. I'm here all week.
Yeah, I never heard that one before.
Should we stop? I don't know. You can't really, control it. I mean,
Yes, they can.
You can fast forward or pause or do something else if you want. Anyway, 3.5 finger grip for me. Little unguarded finger choil there at the front. It's a bit on the smaller side. As you can see, my fingers, a little bit bigger than that. So it would be sort of a vestigial finger choil for me. I could get a fingertip up there when I needed to. Yeah, just good all around EDC. What can I say?
Nothing original.
Yeah, apparently. I've said that before, haven't I? This is as original as the naming scheme, I guess. All right. Another knife with their, what are they calling this lock style, actually? They call it a button liner lock. I guess that's okay. I mean, it's not... That's a thing too, though, as opposed to the compression style thing that's going on right here. Anyway, it's one of those again, just like the Sheepdog. This is the Microbe. Very small guy, as you can see, 2.19-inch blade in 14C28N, which is amongst my favorite of the non-powder metallurgy steels.
Copy paste.
I don't have to be original anymore. We're not talking about the original. It's got a 3.5 finger grip for me, thanks to the guarded finger choil right up here. That is fully intended to be part of the regular grip of this knife. Nestles in pretty nicely. This is the Jade, no, this says Jade G10. That's not Jade G10. But it is a sort of a seafoam or a Tiffany green even. Other flavors are available. What's really nice about this small blade is how the handle forces the blade to point down as you're holding it. I've always found that, especially on smaller knives, to be very useful for actually using the blade. Because if you're getting in here, opening a box or whatever, if this were coming straight out, I would have to alter my grip more or twist more to get it to orient in the way I would want to cut something. Not so with this. So that is pretty nice. Cool, small knife right there. Nice profile in the closed position as well. Thumb studs work all right, but for my hand size, it's a little bit of a reach is the wrong word because it's short. It's almost too small for me to do that comfortably, comfortably. But wrist flicking with the button liner lock, no problem. That feels super secure and super easy. The Microbe, ladies and gentlemen. Next up, the Trestle series from Kizer, slip joint series. We have the new drop point versions. The Trestle D has been released. Ranging in price, starting at $70 for Nitro V blade steel, which is amongst, you know the drill already. Another 10 bucks or so for a wood inlay with Damascus steel, or for 140 bucks, you can get this one right here. With S90V blade steel. Very, very cool. And Nebula fat carbon inlays, aluminum handles, really cool floating file worked backspacer. I don't know if that is file worked by hand or if it's, file worked quote unquote by machine, but it gives you that kind of look. Very, very cool. 3.5 finger grip for me. Lanyard position at the back if you wanted something to grab onto with your pinky. And I'm really digging the blade shape. I like this more than the old Trestles, which had a pretty traditional clip point. But again, you guys know I'm a drop point kind of guy. What can I say? Length on the blade is just under 3 inches. It's on the thin side with a full flat grind. This is going to slice really, really great. And especially with S90V, that edge is going to last a good long time. Nice walk and talk, as you can see. Neither too soft nor too stiff. I dig that. You got a little bit of jimping on the ricasso area of the blade right here, as well as on the back spring. So it kind of encourages you to pinch up on it just a little bit. And that should give you a little bit of peace of mind or a little bit of added margin of error if the blade were to come unopened, start to close in certain cuts. At least your finger could potentially be in a decent spot to keep it from going further. Check it out, the Trestle D. Last but not least from Kizer, we've got 2 smaller fixed blades to take a look at. The first is the Kornel Kiss. The Kornel Kiss Snick fixed blade right here. 2.7 inches on the blade, $57, and the steel is AEBL. And you got a really cool profile. I would call that's verging more on like Wharncliffe territory to me, but we do call it sheep's foot on the website. The reason I say Wharncliffe is because that tip is pretty darn acute. It's not like that blunt, sheep's foot style so much. Pretty darn substantial small blade here, despite 2.68 on the length. You've got G10 here with liners, giving you a nice look, and plenty of meat to hold on to, as you can see. The finger grooves work pretty well for me. They're not getting in my way. I can get all 4 fingers on the handle as well, very comfortably. That could be a really solid, hard-working small fixed blade for you right there. The blade is not super thin. It's not super thick either, but durability is like the big word that comes to mind. Durability yet precision too, thanks to that really acute tip, I would say. Another great thing for really hefty push cutting and acute tip work. Kydex sheath comes with the Dots style slim attachment, not Dots branded, but it's that kind of thing with the push to release right there. It means you can carry it horizontal or vertical, no problem. This would be on the bigger side for a pocket fixed blade, but if you wanted to throw an ulti clip on there, you could do it, and you could have a pretty substantial thing in your pocket to intimidate with, or get good work done with.
Intimidate the work you have to do.
Yeah, there you go. Next up is the Whiskey Jack, a Jonathan Stiles design, the designer of the Militaw, of course. And you can see a little bit of that family resemblance here. These start at about $56 for an AEBL blade. I missed this. Or $75 for Damascus here. Not sure what the composition of the Damascus is, but we are all sold out of it at the moment. I am looking at this, but there is also a 10V version for $75. That's kind of insane. Furthering the idea that Kizer's fixed blades are offering an incredible value right now. This is just another example of that holding true. What do you got? The blade, drop point utility, just over 2 inches long, and yet you've got a fuller sized handle with it. And it's not a correspondingly shrimpy handle, so to speak. It'd be a 3.5 finger, more of a 3 finger grip for me most of the time. I would need a bit of a lanyard fob or something sticking off to have more fourth finger. I can kind of scoot up on it a little bit, but it feels more like a 3-finger design. Not crazy thin on the blade stock. In fact, maybe a little bit thicker than I might have anticipated. But again, that's going to give it some durability. It's certainly going to be a great little utility knife. Could be a good small bird and trout knife too, if you like those things on the compact side of things. This one's G10. The inlay, do we know what particular wood it is? Microbe wood. But you can check out the other options on those other versions that I just mentioned. You got the sheath as well, same attachment style as the, I've already forgotten the name of that other one, the Kornel Snick. Interestingly, they've mounted this inverted. So I don't know if you have it on your belt and you reach up and grab and go like that. You can certainly switch it or flip it around quite easily and throw an ulti clip on there. This would be a great, great pocket fixed blade. All right, a couple flippers from Rike to take a look at now. And actually, I'm going to jump forward just a skosh. Sorry, Thomas.
Thanks.
This is the Lamella V2. It comes in about $355. 4-inch trailing point blade of M390 steel, so very good edge retention. There's a little switch here at the back. That's where things get interesting. Yes, it's a great liner locking titanium flipper all day, every day, as you can see. But the back strap that you see here on this is Ultim, but it is removable. Flip that switch forward, and that lifts right off. Could facilitate easier cleaning and possibly the ability to purchase other back straps. We don't have any currently on the site that I know of. In fact, I'm not even positive they do or don't make them, but there you go. And it goes back on very easily. Just hooks in right like that. And then it's solid again. That's pretty cool, yeah? Crown spine on it, some other nice details going on. We've got the flipper tab as well as some geometric thumb studs that work pretty nicely. Good enough grip for all 4 of my fingers right there. Plenty of knuckle clearance if you're slicing on a surface, and an unguarded finger choil for tighter, closer in work. Keep it rolling. We've got the...
No, you got to roll back.
Thank you. I don't like this name, just because it's not bad. It's just a nothing name. It's RK1902s RCF. I guess the RCF flipper, maybe. It says things on it. It says RK1902s on the front, so I guess that is the name.
Is this a knife or a fax machine?
Or modem. $200 for this knife. Blade is about 3 1/8 of an inch long. You've got M390 as well. Nice rounded titanium handles with 2 inlays on the front, red carbon fiber, frame lock on the back with a milled pocket clip and a ball bearing for the pinch point, which is always a nice detail. Pretty well integrated backspacer to it. Almost gives the look of an integral going on, but that's just because it is fitted so tightly. The illusion gets spoiled a little bit here at the back just because you've got the way the lanyard hold comes up there. No matter. Good lockup from the frame lock. 2 opening methods. You got the flipper tab, which works great. Ball bearings in the pivot, of course, as you would expect. I haven't tried it yet, but let's try the reverse flick. It was a little slow that time. Let me try see if I can get a better angle. This may work better for you depending on your hand size. If you're a little bit smaller hand than mine, it might work a little nicer. Yeah, Rike does good work. It is very, highly finished. There's not, anything out of place in the way it is built. That's for sure. Next up, another one of those kind of names. Let's see what it says on the front. This is the S05 DG V2. There you go. This one's $325. You got a just over 3 1/2 inch blade of M390, recurved, Tonto-y, clip pointy thing going on. It's a single grind. Like I don't even want to call that a Tonto. That's just a recurved clip point because you've got one single plane of flat grind there and just the hint of a tip there. Sharpen that a few times and that'll round over right nicely to a standard bellied shape. G10, no, titanium handles right there. Timascus accents. Check out the backspacer there. It looks like copper and Timascus going on. I think that's probably copper, right? If not, it's something anodized that color. No, it's bronze. Interesting. Ooh, very interesting indeed. And then the lanyard point there at the back. Again, a Timascus pocket clip, Timascus screws, or are those just anodized? Those might just be anodized. And the frame lock as well. Opening. Flipper tab. Works great. Ball bearings work great. Let's try the reverse flick. Works well. I can do better than that. I can do better. Come on, folks. Oh, I did worse. Thomas, believe in me.
Nah.
But I did it. It was better that time.
I don't believe it.
Roll the tape. I like the stonewashed finish on here too. It feels well connected to that bronze accent stripe. Gives it a little more kind of like vintage, worn feel to it. And of course, as you actually carry it and use it, your wear is going to blend in to the handles, scratches that are already there, which is cool. All right, let's almost end with a couple of more affordable knives. This is the Rike Knives P882G, another highly evocative name. This is a $54 knife. A really solid feeling $54 knife. The handle is G10 with contour. I even like the bright color going on here. It feels substantial and yet comfortable in a very nice way. Clip point blade is 3.35 inches long and it's 12C27.
Don't.
Compared to AEBL and that tighter family of steels, this is still somewhat related. It's tougher even, but won't hold an edge as long as those other steels. It feels good. You got a hint of finger guard right there, not a true guard, but enough to give you the suggestion of safety right there. Mid-mounted lockback that is oh so smooth, and thumb studs for one-handed opening. Fully ambidextrous knife here too, because you got the dual thumb studs and you have the screwless pocket clip that can be changed over just by pinching it out. It's not coming out unless you like really intend for it to come out. Don't worry about that. I certainly wouldn't anyway. There you go. You can see that either way. You've even got a lanyard point there at the back. I wonder if it flicks. Ooh, that was actually really good. It's a backlock that flicks really, really well, actually. There you go. Check it out. Do we have any other colors? There's an all blacked out version, black G10 with a black coated blade. Same price. And a little same sort of bronzy or coppery accenting pivot collar too. One knife that somehow I wanted to put it on the CRKT heavy episode that we did earlier this week, but somehow it slipped through. The budget versions of the Q series from Richard Rogers, the designer for CRKT here. The Q series up to this point has always been more premium models. This version is the first under $100, certainly. The Q Compact, 4 different color combinations available right now. It's about $68. You got a blade just over 3 inches long with 14C28 and steel. You know the script at this point, I think. And you've got a crossbar lock with a flipper. The flipper tab works pretty well. It's not too mushy. That's, a flipper tab on a crossbar lock is always a little bit mushy because that's just the inherent nature of combining those two types of features. But they do a good job with this of making that seem, not so readily apparent, which is nice. Stonewashed blade, very versatile drop point, very kind of elegant shape, even though it's just injection molded handles here at this point, as opposed to some of the higher end versions. It still has a bit of that kind of refined shape. Maybe not gentlemanly, but refined in any case. Single position pocket clip, that'd be my only gripe on this. Otherwise it would be a fully ambidextrous design with that crossbar lock right there. Good EDC, yeah. For anyone who just needs some pocket knife, you could do a lot worse than this for sure. And finally, last but certainly not least, from Bear Ops, we have the KATAKT III. Sounds like a planet from Star Wars or something.
Star Trek, but whatever.
Either one. It had more Star Trek vibe or Star Wars vibes to me. In my native language?
In the native language of the planet.
Yeah, something. This is a really cool shape, and it is an automatic for a mere $130 $6, $135.95. With an M390 blade as well. It's 3.5 inches long, and yet it feels even bigger, thanks, I think, to the height of that modified sheep's foot that we've got going on. Aluminum handles. The weight doesn't even feel astronomical for the size. It says 4.7 ounces on our spec sheet here, but it feels lighter. Like it gives the impression of being lighter in any case. Reversible pocket clip, crossbar locking, automatic. It's not the super quickest action. A Kershaw launch series is definitely going to have a heavier spring action. So if you like that, the most satisfaction you can get from an auto, this is, like I said, a little bit on the softer side, but it's working every time. And the steel at that price is pretty exceptional.
Steel.
It is a steal. Compared, the closest competitors to this in price would be stuff like the Kershaw Launch series, and you can get mostly CPM 154 in that series, which is not going to equal the edge retention of M390. There's some M4 and MagnaCut versions in the lineup as well, the Launch lineup, but M390 is still a very competitive choice at that. Feels good too. Solid 4-finger grip. Little bit of wiggle on the blade, but again, that's kind of endemic to crossbar locks as well. Check it out. It's pretty nice. That's all we got for this special Saturday edition of the best new knives of the week, or coolest new knives of the week. Let me know what you thought down in the comments about this onslaught of new releases. And don't worry, the onslaught is going to continue again next week. A lot of cool new 2026 releases dropping on Monday. You won't want to miss it. In the meantime, if you want to get your hands on any of these knives, instead of those ones I just teased, check out the links in the description, which will take you to KnifeCenter.com. .com? Sure.
Subscribe.
I don't know why I said it like that. While you're there, don't forget about our long-running Knife Rewards program or Sezzle and Apple Pay options at checkout. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center. That's Thomas behind the camera, and do that thing he said. Subscribe, please. We're getting close to 500,000, folks. We should hit it this year, I hope. Anyway.
We have nothing special planned.
Don't tell them that.
Just listening ideas.
Let us know what we should do when we hit a 500,000 subscribers. It might be a little bit, but we're getting closer. I think it's going to happen this year. Anyway, see you next time.